Hey, what's up, guys? Ken here, and I hope that everyone's doing good out there. Now, I wanted to do a quick video here on the page as to how comic books are actually packed for sale and delivery and handing over to our customers. Now, we've been selling books here on the Comic Escapades Facebook page since something like 2014, and I'm sure that none of this is actually new information to any of our customers. But the reason for this video is because of some comments that were made online recently by a Malaysian celebrity comic book artist as to the manner in which our comic books are packed for delivery. Now, we've talked about the issue we faced with this celebrity artist in several posts on our page prior to this. In fact, I've covered this already, so hey, feel free to forward ahead to maybe the 3-minute mark if you guys want to. Now, this celebrity artist was a regular customer with us for many years, but with his last order of books, he had accumulated an order worth several hundred ringgit, and this had been pending since 2018, 2 years ago, okay? Now, for this order, he somehow made it exceptionally hard for us to actually hand the books over to him. You know, choosing very specific meeting locations, dates, and times that he knew we were struggling to meet. Now, he would have known this because we explicitly told him. Now, this is on top of the fact that being a superstar, international celebrity artist with tons of conventions to attend and things like that, there's only that small window of time in a year that he would actually be reachable. Now, there was even a time that we were actually able to meet him to deliver his books, and we were actually at the same place and time as him. But he refused to meet us because he was having a meeting with other sellers whom he had prioritized over our long-standing deal. Well, you know, who are we to complain, right? I mean, at one point, we did even ask him why was he setting such stringent requirements. We just wanted to be paid for the books that he ordered. Now, he refused to do a money transfer. Even an offer of free postage of the books was turned down. He simply set it so that we had to explicitly meet him in order to close the deal at a specified place, date, and time. Eventually, as things would have it, he found a loophole to cancel the entire order on the basis that meeting up was impossible. Now, meeting up wasn't impossible, it's just that he made it intentionally hard for the deal to go through, because the truth is, after holding on to his shipment for so long, he simply lost interest in taking the books, okay? But, I mean, we can't be responsible for that, right? Anyway, because we can only assume that as a celebrity artist in the local community, he's probably above the laws of proper business conduct, and he didn't see the importance of taking responsibility for such a large book order that he made. And the fact that the seller had actually accumulated the books for almost 2 years and was holding on to it for him in reserve. His simple advice to us was just to resell the books. And then, almost immediately on the same day of the cancellation, and before we could even react to it, the same celebrity artist went on to the local comics community page to complain about us instead. Now, it definitely looked like he was trying to cover his tracks, and he was smart enough to know that most of the community would be gullible enough to entertain his rant and not even question the logic of any of it. I mean, he is a celebrity, right? When has a celebrity ever been guilty of wrongdoing? Hey, look, you know what? The proof is in what actually happened, okay? This big-time celebrity artist used his celebrity status in the local community to attack us after he cancelled on his order. So he wins everything, right? Except that, you know, being that he's so used to having things his way, he didn't think that a small-time operation like ours would be able to stand up or respond to something like this. Okay, now, here's where it gets interesting. Now, here's a bit of what this celebrity artist posted about us on February the 9th on the local comics community page. He provides his own twisted version of events to appear free of any wrongdoing. But what I wanted to touch on specifically in this video is the following statement he makes, in which he says, "Request to bag books individually instead of cramping 2 to 3 books in a bag is deemed fussy or demanding. So he's saying that on top of us providing the resealable bags and boards for free, we are actually not allowed to pack 2 books in 1 bag for purposes of delivery. Now later, in response to his accusations, and when we started talking about the issue of his order cancellation on our own page, he then comes onto our page and made more similar comments in response to our packing of books, such as the following: seller never bags books individually. They are always cramped in 2s or 3s in 1 bag. Again, he's in fact making demands of us as we are providing the bags and boards for free with no extra charge. But we are surprised, truly surprised and confused as to why a celebrity artist such as himself would even make such an accusation, when in truth, here's a snapshot of the WhatsApp conversation between us that shows the actual conversation that took place, in which you can see that he asked to have his books packed individually, and we in fact replied immediately that we would do our best. There was no indication or reply from us that we thought he was being fussy or demanding. So why is he painting this picture of us? Because, well, he needs to find things to distract people from the main issue, being that he doesn't want to pay for his order. Okay guys, can I just say something here? Now we deal primarily in books from the late 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and even the early 2000s. Older books basically, retro books. But mainly, the bulk of the books for sale comes from a time when bags and boards for comics did not even exist. Now, you had to get your books off the newsstand, and those were often on racks or even hung on a cable string above your head with a clip. Remember those? So when comic books and hobby stores started to flourish sometime like 20 to 25 years ago, bags and boards became more available, but as a separate industry to supplement comics. Because there is a cost to every bag and board being produced. These are not free, okay? They do not materialize out of thin air. It's just like when you buy a new phone, the screen protector and the phone casing can be viewed as vital items to protect the phone, but these are sold separately. You get to take your new phone home in a box, and whatever else you want to do with it is up to you. Similarly, when books are sent to the comic book shops from the distributor or the printer, they do not come back boarded. Now the shop has to handle these books carefully and in a flat way and stack them in a neat pile. When you wish to purchase a book, the bag and the board is actually sold separately. This has always been the case since day one. Now when we started selling books online, we never stated anywhere that the books would come with bags and boards, but we would include them as a complimentary item whenever we could, mainly also as something to further protect the books when transporting them to the buyer, either by postage or by hand. And the comic book bag can actually hold 2 books at a time. Unlike what the celebrity artist has said here, we are not cramping the books in there, and neither are we shoving them roughly into anything. There was even a member of the community who seemed to be hyperventilating in the comment section at the thought of 2 books being packed in 1 bag. Hey man, I'm showing you guys throughout this entire video so far, 2 books are being packed in 1 bag. Now, do you see anything happening? Is the bag and board destroying or eating away at the other book? What's happening? Nothing. Nothing is happening. Everything is just fine. In fact, having an extra book in the bag helps to keep it even more firm, especially when you're stacking them up upright in a standing up position in one of those comic book long boxes. Now we know this because we've been arranging our collection in the same way for the last 20 years, and our books are just fine, absolutely fine. Now, it's also a good way to manage your collection when your collection is in a sequence, such as when issue 2 is after issue 1, and you've got both books and you actually have them in the same bag and they're back to back. And guess what? Not using up so many cardboards actually helps to save up on paper as well. And of course, we're not here to manage your collections the way that you see fit. Neither are we able to. But, we're just saying that absolutely nothing happens to the bag, the board, or the books when they're packed together, all right? Now, as time went on, there were periods of time when it was harder for us to source for bags and boards. It's just the way that it was. And our books at times would be sold without any. But they were still handled in a flat way, cared for and protected, just without the complimentary bag and board. So the bag and the board, as we said, was always a complimentary item that we did not charge anything extra for. So in the above case, when we graciously agreed to the celebrity artist's request to have every one of his books bagged and boarded individually, we were in fact choosing to be accommodating in the interest of finally closing the deal, which never even materialized in the end, and which he ended up twisting the truth and lying about us, not even wanting to even consider his request, when in fact, as we showed you earlier, hey, we agreed straight away. At the end of the day, the most important thing that we wanted to share, that I wanted to let you guys know, is that we hand the books over to our customers exactly the way that we receive them, and in the same way that they were advertised for, and in the same way that you're expecting to receive them. Okay, we do not take any actions to harm or injure the books in any way. And we take great care in ensuring that the customers receive them flat, not bent, not curled up, and certainly not rolled up, like a newspaper. Now, once the book is in the customer's hands, it will be entirely their responsibility to handle and care for the books in the manner in which they are most accustomed to. That's just the way it is, okay? Is there more that we can do? Absolutely, certainly. And we are always open to suggestions and feedback and looking into ways that we can actually improve the standards of business if the means allow for it within this time frame. Now, the truth is, as most of you might be aware, sales of comic books have been in decline, almost free-falling for the past 10 years or so. The hobby and the love of the hobby is actually kept alive by die-hard collectors and readers who still appreciate the medium and are willing to invest in it. So yes, there are challenges for both sellers and buyers. However, we are committed to improving the service that we provide, and we will be making an announcement on the page soon in regards to the improved availability of bags and boards for comic book purchases. So look out for that. Thanks again for your support, and I'll catch all of you again real soon.